YouTube, it's Gadget Mate here, and today I'm basically, you had started but I hadn't hit record. So step on thing, I'm moving everything from this old computer here into the Corsair Carbide case that you saw me unbox in the last video. I'll just quickly go through the hardware. I've got a Samsung 840 128GB SSD, which I'm used for boot drive, which I've already migrated all my data across to full time. I've got a Western Digital Caviar Blue 250GB SATA 3, which I'm going to use as a main drive, because I'm not using the drive in the old one, because it's got all my boots, copy of all my OS and everything, so I'd like to keep that, and also because it's a Seagate, I don't find Seagate's reliable, or I think it might be Toshiba, we'll clarify now. Let me just bring in my other parts. I've got an NZXT Century Mesh fan controller, a Samsung 24x optical drive, as my one's very loud, and might run TLC, and I've got a USB 3 card because I've run out of USB ports. So basically I've just installed the, let's put those onto there, my hard drive into the tallest mount, and then I'm going to slot that in. I'll probably slot that in that drive there. Then I've just got these screws to insert the SSD. So I can't. It says toolless, but for SSD, but I think it means toolless for 3.5, not 2.5mm drives. I'm back in a minute once I've actually worked out how to mount this. In this research, I couldn't work out how you mount it. I get the impression there might be some sort of bracket that should be here. What I've done is thankfully I had a 2.5 to 3.5mm adapt which, yeah, just about fits in there, so I can mount my SSD on that, which is handy. It's just a shame as I drop the screw that they don't actually seem to provide any sort of mounting, the mounting bracket. Either they don't make it very clear how you do it, or they actually didn't provide one, because it says toolless and there's no way that it can actually screw on as it currently is. Guessing these are the right screws, aren't they? One sec. If they aren't, if these are for some sort of other thing, I've got some screws that will fit upstairs. Yep, these are the ones. So see, there is some screws required for these SSDs. That makes no sense. I've just realised I was actually going to mount it the wrong way anyway. So I need to mount it. You can see there's the cutout here for the port. So if I mount it like that, then put it the same way that I did on the other one with the WD hard drive. I'll have it that the cables, being the SATA power and SATA data, will come out the back end of the case. The good thing is I can take with my motherboard, I can take the full, I can get the full experience of the SSD with this system, because I'm running SATA 3. That was as this has been such a pain. I'll come back once I've persuaded this to screw in. I'm back. I'm back and I'm just screwing in the screw. Just finishing off putting the last few turns in these screws just to tighten them up. It's actually quite a bit harder than you thought, just because it was so fiddly, and I haven't got my screwdriver hasn't got any mag effect on it at all, which obviously the ones that do means it would hold the screw. So I just push this into the holes each side on this sled. Thankfully this sled, because it's plastic, is quite flexible, so I can just, there we are, an SSD mount. Plugging the cables is going to be slightly interesting, so what I might do is I might mount that when I can find the actual holes. But this appears it's going to be, doesn't like mounting. There we are. My 2 hard drives, I might move, actually move the SSD and have, they'll be seen in the cables then. They'll be seen then, the cables can sit below it out of view of the door. Next thing I think I'll install is the fan controller. The good thing with this is if you watch the unboxing to remember, it comes with the pre-installed screws, which obviously I won't need. Do I want to do this? How would this actually mount? With the quick lock system, let's just take. It actually mounts pretty easily. So what I'll do is I'll put that in the top bay. There's those installed. That cable's back there for the moment. Put that box to the side. Now I better start taking all the components out here and putting and installing them. Let me just find where just get the tool case, as I'm acting like a complete brainless poop when I try and do all of this, which isn't too good, I suppose. Just this screwdriver into the correct mode. Pull the door out. So now where do I start? Let's just unplug. Start unplugging things like the hard drive first. Unplug things off the motherboard. One thing that might be worth is taking out my external capture, my integrated capture card. So obviously I'm going to need to remove some of that in, but the good thing is the way this case is done, it's all thumb grips or thumb screws for putting in PCI brackets and things in there. So I'll just put that there. That fan's on plug. I'll have to find that cable later. Just try and unplug stuff because these connectors are quite strong, so they've never actually been unplugged before. Let's do that. So these SATA cables unplugged. Let's get the first one out and put that. Just put all the cables that I'm removing off this system there. 20 pin there. I'll come back once all of these cables have been persuaded out of this system. I'm back. I've finally got all the cables out for the power supply, which wasn't quite as easy as I was hoping because the SATA, that was actually the 20 pin, was quite wedged in because obviously it's quite a strong cable. I know they've used this connector again. I'll be glad when I don't have to use these screws again when I use the ones that come with this case to hold the power supply in. Or is it going to use these? I'm not sure actually. I might just use these as I know they work well. The only problem with this being a windowed case is at the moment it's not going to look very good with the parts I installed, as you'll see when I was taking out this power supply and show it to you. Just try and sway this out. The problem is this case that's wedged out. This is not a bad case, but it's so hard to work in. This is unfortunately the power supply I'm going to have to deal with a horrible-ish looking 300 watt, which is life. So next I'll remove this optical drive, because I might install this just to have two, because why not really? I've got the port, so I may as well. Then eventually I will upgrade this to a Blu-ray. But for the moment it's always nice to have the option of having a second. I think hopefully this is not going to be a pain, will just pop out. Which I think it's going to be a pain, and it's running right beside the... Do I have to pull the... Oh, maybe I... Oh. As I try to persuade the front, I'll pull the whole thing apart. Not too good, but luckily this is not got too much use when I pull this off now. So that's the front. Mine's got snapped a bit. Just put that there. So I'm going to need that's actually going that pile. I'm just going to go and get a duster to dust these components. There we are. Two opticals and the fan controller, so I'll have those all at max for the moment. I think I'll leave it off for the moment, but I think that's everything front port wise dealt with. Next, I think I'm going to get on with moving the motherboard. I'm just going to have to put this on this way so I can check all of its connectors quickly. And the good thing is I can just sit it down on its side still once the door's off. Take the door off, sit that over there. Now once I've got 3 opticals in, see we've got all the headers back here, so if I just jam them in there. So what I can, I'll just sit this like that. Next job, motherboard. Let me just check, I just need to clarify a diagram that I found is the same as all the headers for this one section, because one bit's obvious, but there's that goes there and that just pops up, thankfully. That's the Bluetooth, the wireless card, not going to be used, I don't think, but I don't use that anyway. These are all bundled up, so I'm going to have to just trust this diagram that I've got on my iPad. So that's all the headers and everything unplugged. That one there. So now I can get on with removing the board, which uses these, they like these screws. Let me just get an extension. HP have used this screw for the whole case by the looks of things. The only thing that doesn't matter necessarily with the fan filter is that I've got the rear exhaust fan for my PSU, but when I get a better one it will obviously be useful. I'll work out which way round I'll mount that. When I've got the motherboard located, so I can work out the rough cable management of this case. Because I'm getting, sort of for the moment, very much doubt cable management's going to be relevant until I get a better power supply. I'll obviously do as much as I can, and also because I haven't, literally the only cables I have to hook this up is what you see here, and then a couple of extra SATA cables that are lying around just to hook all the 4 SATA drives up, or 4 SATA devices. So that's literally all I have. As it is, I'm not going to break one from an old to another PC, so I can actually hook the SATA I like to have the second optical drive in the system. That's life, isn't it? But not as we know it. Those are... shit, which motherboard? I'm sure these screws are the same length. Which I'm going to think I'll have to take this. Why have they made this so inaccessible? This is frustrating. You know, I didn't want to have to because there was no... Actually, I was going to anyway, so I may as well just remove the hard drive now, in fact. I was going to, then I was just going to put it in the box that the hard drive came out of. But the Western Digital came out of, and I'll probably just stick these screws in there so I know where they are. Or maybe, no, I won't stick the screws in there, actually I'll stick them in the box for this case. In a separately labelled bag, so I know they're for here actually. I'll tell you what this drive is now, in fact. Yeah, it's a Seagate Barracuda. That's definitely, if I wasn't replacing it, I definitely would have left that out of the system, as you can't understand how much I hate Seagate drives. For me, they're the worst sort of drives that are physically available to get hold of. What were those ones? Something. I've got about 3 more screws to take this system apart now. It's been a good, as far as a case, it's not been bad. It's lasted me 12 months, because I got this Boxing Day 2004, 2013, and obviously we're now in 2015. It's just the only reason I'm actually upgrading, because I know the case is not the greatest, I'll admit, but it didn't cause problems. No, your standard screws, typical for the fan. There's one reason only that this is being upgraded, is because I can't put my USB card, which I need because I haven't got enough USB ports. Which is a bit frustrating, I have to admit, if that's what I have to do to get my USBs. And anyway, it's a good excuse to get a nice looking case. Admittedly, this isn't the world's worst case, but in comparison to the carbide that I'm putting everything into, there's no competition really. So what I'll do is, because this is only a 90mm, so I can't use it in my case, in my new case, I'll just probably screw this back in it when I've finished. So the other thing, because this is obviously my machine built half of this, it's such a tough case. The screws are so hard to actually unscrew compared to what you'd get if it was a... There's only 3 screws. That's an interesting design. Compared to if it was a hand-built one, or you built yourself or hand-built from an external company where they're obviously hand-tightened. You wouldn't believe, particularly looking at how dusty it is, that this fan has served me for 12 months, but funny enough that actually has. Put it over there, all the screws from this system I think will sit there. I think those are from this as well, where they might have been. They look like the same, so they can just all sit in there. And then I think I've got about 1 more screw before I can get the board out. These are from that, I'll put those there because this is the colour they have to be from the new system. Switch screws. Because the thing is that to a certain extent, if a SSD in Windows 8 is almost to a certain extent sort of overkill because of how quickly, as an OS, it posts and loads up for a start. Just general work, it will be so snappy because Windows 8 Admittedly, I don't like that drive bit on that with the Barracuda. It's not, but it's quite a snappy OS. But the advantage is it's going to be a really quick OS. Now with this, are we free? First I'll just pop out the EMI shield, give that a quick dust and just snap that into this machine. Yeah, I'm actually going to, funny enough, take the fan out of this one as well. So I'm going to need that cable cut, screw at the head that I just put back. Because obviously putting this in the way is going to make it harder to get the motherboard in, and particularly the shield. This case actually seems a really good one on first impressions with all the building I'm doing on it. One little touch I have just noticed, I'll show you with this fan once I've removed it, is that they have a diagram for people who don't know anything about the way the air is going to flow with designs of fans. They're basically showing people, I'm guessing it does it with the front one as well. I can't see it on the front, but probably some on one side, because it's only on one side on the rear fan. As I was saying about the fan, if you look here, we've got the arrows pointing and showing which way. Now that's out, I'll just install the shield and put in said motherboard. So if I just concentrate for once, it's this way, right. Sorry, I got interrupted when taking that fan out, so I wasn't, so it's perfectly not, made me not concentrate totally. It doesn't seem secure in that one. Well, this EMI shield, unfortunately. That's better now. That's the EMI shield in. Let's just locate. That's the first bit that's come out without any problem. Locate the motherboard. I am a total idiot. The EMI shield goes other way round, because it's a different deal with this case slightly. So I just locate this. Do I want to? And what I'm going to do is, before I actually screw that in, I'm just going to try the power supply and see if there's any chance of any sort of cable management. No, so I'll just put the screw this in with. How are the standoffs first? Is the obvious thing. One there. One there. I need the spare standoff fan. The exact spare one that I found is the exact, gives me the exact amount to screw the motherboard in. So if I just screw this in at this port here, I think there's several there's several I'm going to take out as well, which I'll work out which ones aren't required once I put the motherboard in. So that's all the standoffs in, so I'll just put the face plate back on here. Now I can just slot some motherboard in. If, like everyone does, I would like to cable manage, but I just haven't got adequate cables on me to cable manage 90% of it. So I'll have to wait until I can upgrade the power supply and then look at the said cable management, which is a shame. But when you're just doing a swap like this, it's not, I'll just have to put up with. I can guarantee at least one of these, if anything to go by history, I'll drop at least one screw on the motherboard when I'm screwing in screwing in all these screws into the standoffs. What was I saying? Thankfully it's an easy one to get to this time. Or it would have been if I can find where it went. Ah, there it is, rolled out onto the table. The worst one was when I dropped it and I had to take the whole motherboard out of one system. Because I was such an idiot. This one. Maybe my small screwdriver might work. Here we are. As you can see, with upgrades, I'm a total mess of actually having, for God's sake, having parts just lying around. I'll use this one because it's got something more magnetic, or I thought it was anyway. Let's just start it by hand. Right, there's no, I didn't have enough, couldn't get enough standoffs. So I can't put one in there, thankfully it won't quite need it. So here, there's one. Power supply next, I think. If I put it this way from the screw. The screw holes sort of match, you just turn this around. Doesn't help, it's not the most well designed thing in the beginning. What screws have we got for here? The old power supply screws probably. I knew I should have separated these. Here we are. Four that have the use. I think it's torque adapter. I might be wrong. The good thing is, because it's such a big case, I have room either to upgrade motherboard to a nicer one at some point, or get a stupidly long power supply, not power supply, graphics card, like say one of the, for the reference edition 970, which is probably what I'll get. Either that or the, I think the other one I was thinking about is the MSI version. Because the thing is, look, the good thing is I've got such a long power supply, one of the sort of the Corsair, whereas their RM series, because of how long filter there is. That would probably be something like my chosen power supply, their RM. Purely because I've had good experience with them in the past and with their power supplies, and also the fact that it's fully modular, it's never a bad thing. I think that's everything you now out of that system. I'll just stick that onto this table out of the way. Next thing I think I will do is stick in, I can move this to the desk centre now, easy is stick in the cards, and then I can go from there, which is putting out all the power in, so that can go bottom port. So if I unplug some screws which are hard to unscrew. So I'll start it with just a screwdriver, pull out the port cover. Then what we'll do is, I'm not giving a greatest look, I'll give you a proper overview of the system once everything is actually installed correctly. So that's that in. I'll put in the next port the USB 3 card, because then that'll leave exactly, you'll see when I show you the computer after, it'll leave exactly 2 port gap for a power supply, not power supply, a 2 port graphics card like the 970. We've got that, and what does it come? Just the instructions. and some leaflets. I'm probably going to pause the camera so I can actually read all of this. Work out how this connects. So once I've worked that, I'll be back. I'm back and I've just worked out how to connect it. I basically just slot this in and give it either a SATA or a Molex power connector. Just to power the card. I will work out which I've got the most spare of when I plug this in. It comes in a nice anti-static bag, which I'll just leave it in while I take another thumb screw out. Admittedly, this has got the ability as I upgrade to look really nice. Eventually, this is going to be a super swag case. So this is basically the card. It's got two USB 3s, SATA and Molex power, and it uses the PCI X1. I'll just plug that in. That actually is really easy to install. It would help it would be even easier if I tried to put in the correct screw. So that's the extra USB and everything installed. Just give this a... And now I better get, as I've got all hardware, I'll just get on to connecting the power. So this is going to be quite a while to get this done. I'll come back once the system's finished and show you the finished thing. It's been several hours. It's been several hours since the last update. And what I've basically been doing is I've just turned this round. Basically just put all. I'll remove this in one sec. Basically what I've done is I've put all the headers in. I'll move this while I'm talking to you guys. Now I've connected all the headers, put the front panel on type, sort out the fan controller for the one fan I'm currently going to run through, that being the front fan, because the rear fan is just going to run through the CPU, using the motherboard controller. I ran into a slight ow, so I just dropped said power supply that I was taking it on my foot. I ran into a snag, two snags actually, so I've been and walked parts. I had to buy a couple of right angled SATA connectors, which are not cheap, so that doesn't matter. This is where it got interesting. I had to go and buy a new power supply. I bought this up at the Corsair Builder series, or I think they call it the CX series now, modular 600 watt series power supply, because I didn't have enough cables on my other one. Anyway, it's not the greatest. The good thing about this is, as I just open it up, is that for all my eventual plans with this system, this power supply is more than large enough wattage wise. So I'm going to need about 600 watts to complete my whole system, I've worked out. So that's the good thing. I've got a 600 watts. I only need about 550 of them. Kettle units. So just get this out. We've got the small zip ties and some useful things. Here we've got the basically sleeved cables. From what I can gather, I think they changed the design of it ever so slightly. So I put this in a build I did for someone about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, and I think they've improved and changed the design ever since, which is always pleasing. Because it didn't have the split, the 8-pin wasn't a 4+4, it was just a stock 8-pin. So, because it was a micro ATX build as well, then I had to get a adapter for that. But apparently, this just it does split that. It saves my bacon. It saves, it's not just bacon, it saves money as well, considering it's useful for the build that I've done. So I'm just I'll just turn the system on its side and hook the power up. I've I've got all the headers in. Let's just connect the... Where's the other SATA disappeared to? The reason I can't find it is I took one out earlier because I just did I just booted it with the SSD just to check it all was posting. So now I just need to hook the SATA cables for the two optical drives back up, and then put the SSD back in its sled correctly so it goes this way. The good thing is this is just to take them out of their sleds. They're really good design. As that just pops off. For taking them briefly out of the sleds, these are a really good hot swap design. It's just a shame they haven't. Shame it's just slightly flawed for 2.5 inch drive, slightly. Now, if you're just using conventional 3.5 inch, this works flawlessly. So it was. No, it must go this way. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to hook this back up so it's this way. And put the fan facing up into the case because I've got enough cooling to allow that, thankfully. So I need to get the screws out here. The good thing is the amount of zip ties that I've had between the case and this power supply. I've got enough to float a boat or to sink a ship or whatever the term I'm thinking of is, which I can't quite think of at the moment. But a lot of people who are going to know this is there's an awful lot of you viewers are British or living in Britain, possibly necessarily not British, of course, but you're located according to YouTube in the British Isles, which is always nice to have local, as well as having obviously international. It's nice to have local people supporting a channel. The thing that I don't think I can check, but I'll be interested to find out, is actually how many people are sort of in Wales. The good thing with this is that it's a more attractive power supply because it's a sleeved one as well. And the good thing is, for all my upgrade plans for this system, this power supply is sufficient, because with things like a 970, which is what I'm planning to install eventually in here, I'll be able to get, unless something better comes out by the time I'm ready to get one, I'll have more than enough space and power to power one. Can I run that back? That will run. I can manage those in a second. If I want it like this, I think I'll just put... When I just checked if it posted, I took out the USB card. So if I'm going to install drivers, just want to do a quick post. So I'll just install that back now. Thankfully they give thumb screws. Or screws that can be used as a screwdriver off. Well, I think they're partially designed for thumbs, which makes life so much easier with this system. Sorry for the sniffing. Just turn this back up this way. Let's work out what cable I need. How many ports have we got? We've got 1, 3 on that SATA, and 2 for SATA. Now I need 1 Molex. In other words, that. And I need 3 of the 4 cables. Because the good thing is, it's got enough ports on and cables to perfect to eventually I'm going to do the full upgrades of this system. which, if you're interested in knowing my plans for the system, comment down in the description and I'll do a video talking about my plans of how I'm upgrading this and what components I plan to buy eventually and etc. for this system, because there's an awful lot of parts and it'll be quite an exciting build eventually with this. So I need, I think it's just one Molex, isn't it? 2 Molex, right. I know the lighting isn't that great. Actually, I need to get my phone to use as a torch because lighting has deteriorated quite a bit for me as well. So I think everyone's struggling to struggle for light here. This is a 6-pin. If I put that there. And run 1 Molex into this. And if I leave the other one there for a sec, then I'll just plug in the 2 SATA cables and I'll give you a proper look at the system once it's all finished. So I'll just run this up the back and quickly plug in the fans first. So that's going to drift through here. I think I can run that, bear with me 2 seconds. So I might just come back when I've finished and show you the completed build, as it's just going to be niggly bits of just hooking up power now, so I'll be back when I've finished. This is just the final part I've finished. All I've got to do is I'll just quickly show you it on camera now, is just put the door on and pull the side off. I've done cabling. Looking not the best, so it doesn't look the greatest, but as I haven't got any lighting as where I will be placing at the moment, you won't notice. Thankfully, you won't actually notice it. The cabling, how bad that is at the moment. But this has been a massive PC upgrade video. Like this video if you like it, dislike if you dislike it, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.